Hi Morgan, it's me again. Sorry to bother you, but my last presentation about how this ladder exactly works, it wasn't very good. So let me try this again. I'm doing this on the fly, so we'll see what happens. So, how do you run free to play? Let me get this up. How do you run free to play, unmoderated, anonymous, team based ladders, 15v or 15, right? We'll do 5v5, but it's possible. Uh, Unlimited grouping, bronze to GM grouping, and everything in between, and 5 stacks or 15 stacks or anything in between. Unlimited avoid his teammates, and unlimited avoid his opponent slots, right? So, how it's very organic, right? So, true skill may be better, but my way is factual and organic, and you can't get better than that. You need math people to prove me wrong. Like the way this whole ladder works is you can't argue with any of it. Maybe true skill is better, but we can certainly say that even if we use true skill, that there will still be a list from 1 to 40 million. The degrees may be different, and that's what my ladder doesn't have. It doesn't show you the degrees in between the ranks. It just shows you the ranks. So, all new accounts start at the bottom of the ladder. Free to play. You make an account. Bam, you're on the bottom of the ladder. 40 millionth and first spot. All right. So each server has its own ladder. If there's like 3 servers in Chicago, technically, like they all work for the one metropolitan area, right? Um, Maybe there's I don't know much about the technical stuff, but let's just assume there's one giant server in Chicago. Like the ladder exists on that server, and you can't take your rank to another server. So if you live in Colorado or Texas and you're halfway between each, maybe it's a little laborious to keep your ranking up on both ladders. But that's just that's tough. That's tough. So let's see. Because there's a rank decay, right? So if you don't play actively on the ladder, you'll decay a little bit. So there'll be a player directory, basically a giant list with all ladder participants sorted from best to worst, and you can sort them by how many unlimited avoid how many people have avoided them as teammates and opponents, and you can probably thumbs up and thumbs down all these people in the ladder, and they could be marked for aim bots by the community. You know, so, maybe the top 1,000 spots will all be aimbots, right? And you really can't climb to rank 1. There may be a little bit of moderation, a small staff of 5 or something to just watch the top 100 and remove, spam, like, spam emails were gotten rid of in like 2002. Like, I don't know. That's very impressive, right? I don't know how you guys do that, but get back into the ladder. Queue time is set at 5 minutes max. This can scale by population. More on this later. Um, so if you put the queue time at 5 minutes max, right? That means that the other people will have 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute queues, right? The 5 minute max, it, it can be anything, right? But this is how the game is made. When someone is in queue for 5 minutes, they are the queue popper, and they are the catalyst, right, of how the match gets made. So quality of life. While in queue, there'll be a number showing you how many people have been in queue for longer than you. So this number might go to 0, and it would mean that you yourself are the person who has been in queue for the longest, right? There will be times. Think about it, if you avoid everybody as teammate and avoid everybody as opponent, you will never get a queue, and there needs to be some feedback from the system to tell you what to do, right? Let me put in go sliders, right? You can the GMs would blanket avoid like silver and down, and maybe the bronzes. I don't think the bronzes would avoid the GMs, right? They'd never meet them, hardly ever. it doesn't matter. But the thing is, we're giving the players the ability to avoid everyone on the ladder as teammates, and avoid everyone on the ladder as opponents, and enter the queue. So after they've been in queue for 5 minutes, the computer would have to do something. It, I'd I think there's a better solution than this is the suggested settings or something like this, but um, I'll have to think about that one. That would be. Hmm. We'll just keep going. They could wait in queue for 5 days, right, and avoid them all. That's their problem, right? There's no tutorial on how to use the matchmaker if you avoid everybody as opponents and everybody as teammates. But anyway, I think you get what I'm saying. Once a person being queued for 5 minutes as a queue popper, we'll go over what happens on the very first game. But for now, the example is that it's fully populated and it's been running for 3 months or so. This example will pretend the 1,000 place person is the queue popper. Okay, so what happens here is the 1,000. It's 8 p.m. on a Thursday night, right? And this guy put in a ticket to queue up on the ORD1 server, right? And he's been in queue for 5 minutes, and bam, he is the catalyst. He's the initiator of the game, right? So it's going to find him a match. And it goes down first, and it prefers lowest because that's how rank 1 would work. If we imagine the rank 1 person as the catalyst, it would always go down first, so we'll keep that consistent throughout the entire matchmaker. So it goes down, and then it finds someone, right? And the guy in the actually, this should be reversed. Sorry about that. Because 900 is lower, right? Going upwards. But um, it would go down first and would find. Yeah, I messed up. Okay, sorry about that. So I got it fixed. So leftward is descending down the ladder, and rightward is going up towards rank 1, right? So it goes down first. And we already have. Change this back. Okay, we already have 1,000. The 1,000th place is the initiator. He's on the blue team, right? He gets placed on blue team, and this is red, red, blue. Okay, so he gets placed on the blue team. He's the initiator, and it's gonna go down just like it would for first place if they were the initiator, and then it would place 120. I'm sorry, 1020 on red team because the teams are uneven, right? Check for deck low score evenness. Evenness is important in groups. So, blue team has one member and red team has zero, so it puts that on red team. Right now, it's gonna go up an equal amount. Um, let's suppose that there was one. There was a player only like 1 degree below here, but then like this 990, he was actually like really far up. It would always pick the closest. It wouldn't necessarily go back and forth, but it's always the closest to the initiator is the next one on deck, right? So the next one on deck just so happens to be on this side of the 1,000, and it's going to check, not the it's going to put it on blue team and add it up, and it's going to put it on red team and add it up. And whoever garners the lowest score gets that player. And then when it's time to select the next one, it's going to check for evenness first, and then it's going to check for lowest score, right? So it's always trying to help you out, put the best one on your team. Um, and here, I didn't really mention this, but say there's like 5 people really close here, and 5 people on this side, but they're like really spread apart. Well, the matchmaker is always going to prefer what is ever closest to the initiator, even though that they're all below, right? I like to think of it like a stepping thing, right? And it's like a chasm. and it's like a giant funnel, right? And here's the initiator, and these guys, they're closer than these guys. So I hope that made sense. So let's keep going. So there can be ties on the ladder, right? I think you heard my thing about when you win. You know, if you don't win a match every 24 hours, you go down a rung. When five bronzes beat five GMs, the bronzes now take the GM's rank, and GMs get bumped down. This is an extreme example, but that's how it works. Five 3200s beat five 3300s. Now they get to go into the. I'm sorry, put that backwards. It's like boxing, right? You beat the champ, you are the champ. If five high schoolers beat the Chicago Bulls, they're the NBA championship. That's how sports works, right? There's a lot to be said about true skill in Elo. It's very nice. I'll give you one problem. If I'm second place in the chess world, I can beat all the top tens and never beat the top one, and I'd still get over him, right? I think that's a little unfair. Can still happen in my system if he D ranks, but um, Elo's beneficial too when you can only have tournaments twice a year or something. It's not. It loses some of its value when you can just enter the game at any time. It's very good. True skill's really really good, but there's there's nothing wrong with this ladder, right? It's factual. It's organic, so that's why I like it. Okay, so check each team on deck, rate lowest score. Um, when you derank, originally I wanted it to when you don't win for 24 hours, you do rank one, and everyone below you do ranks. But they were telling me that the read write is very taxing to change everybody. So when the, when the rank one doesn't win for 24 hours, he can go down, but not. And that would mean that the second place would go above him, but not everyone below him. He can be tied for the new second. The third and the new second can be tied for each other. I'd prefer that they all get bumped down, but it's not. It's not really necessary. So groups evenness when an avoided team. So the way you handle avoided teammates is if it's going back and forth and it's looking for the people and it comes across someone that doesn't fit either by avoided teammate or avoided opponent, it just pretends they're not there and it continues on with the algorithm. Um, they're like I said, we're allowing these people to avoid all the opponents and all of them as teammates and enter queue. So there would be some feedback on, you know, I wouldn't have a problem using it. I'll tell you that much. And there would be tutorials on YouTube talking about it. Um, but let's see. So avoided teammates and bronzes and GMs can end up in the same lobby. The matchmaker's in your hands basically. Um, all right. So groups, right? It checks evenness um, before lowest score, right? So if we're running 5v5 and I got a 3 stack, um, then the first closest opponents go on the other team, and then when it's time for the fourth player, it checks for lowest score. And I was thinking about this. I don't know what is best, but when you group, your number one guy will be the initiator. I think that would be the fairest way to do it, the most consistent way to do it. Maybe you want to say no, you got to do the guy in the middle. Definitely not the guy on the low end. But I think when you're grouping, you go in with a 3 stack. The guy with the highest rank is technically the initiator. His two buddies are automatically put on his team. The next three closest opponents go on the enemy team, and then we figure out. Then for the fourth, we put him here and we put him here, and we figure out who has the lowest score, and that's who gets them. And then the next guys on deck, well, one team has four and one team has three, so obviously he goes there, right? I think I explained it in full, and I wish the Overwatch ladder would work this way. Thank you.